It appears we're live, guys. This is take 2 of the Monday Night Boxing Gossip live show. It's 10 minutes past 10. Now, if you're watching this, so I'm just going to do a right, final try. Let's see if it is live. Okay, seeing some signs of life here. I've had it go down 5 times, so I think this is probably the last try I'll be able to give it, I'm afraid. Just on the basis that I've spent 15 minutes doing it already. Everyone's saying it's coming through, so let's hope it stays like this. Right, one final go at introducing this, because I don't know if what I said previously came through. Apologies if I'm repeating myself, but Boxing Gossip live, so Monday night, we try and go live every Monday night at some point in the evening, and anyone can call in. We'll get you live on the channel and we can discuss the major boxing stories of the day. So what I'm going to do now is load up my Skype, which is my Skype account. The username is boxing.gossip. Nice and easy. And anyone can call in and we can discuss some of the main topics. I can see I've missed 3 or 4 calls already. Apologies for that. That is just because I've been restarting things, etc. But I will crack on, and hopefully it is going to stay good for us. Everyone in the chat seems to be working. So first and foremost, thanks to everyone who's joined live in the chat tonight. I appreciate the patience. So I've got Matt, I've got Harley, I've got Jet, I've got David, Potter, Scooby-Doo, who is the old Too Fast Fury, I believe. Danny, let's have a look. Johnny, Harte, Damien, Leon, Bill, and Tom. So, yeah, thanks very much to everyone who has joined. And we will get straight into it. So let's start with the fight this weekend, which is Andre Ward versus Alexander Brand. Now, I sat down to try and watch this fight on 2 separate occasions, and I'm going to be completely honest. On neither occasion did I manage to sit through the entire 12 rounds. Do you know what it was? You guys know I'm a boxing nut. You guys know I like my boxing. I got Jacob calling in. Let's get Jacob on. I'll come back to this in a minute. Jacob, how you doing?
Squad. What's up, boxing gossip?
Oh, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I like the intro.
I had to call in because the internet's going crazy on my man Andre Ward. I had to call in for my fellow American. Stand up for him. Why is Alexander Brand such a horrible opponent? 28-1 going in with only a split decision loss to Badu Jack on his resume. I just don't see how he was so shit. Everything's shit. He's shit. Andre Ward's shit. He didn't knock him out. He's shit. I don't get it. I don't get it. From the UK side, give me some feedback. Why is there so much hate for Andre Ward?
I think the problem is how unknown the opponent was. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not sure I knew who he was when the fight was announced. Maybe it's just because we're the UK scene. He's not big over here, but you kind of think of Andre Ward as the top name fighter, and you think that at the very least he should be in against contenders, gatekeepers, people of that nature. And I just think people were pretty uninspired by a guy that, let's face it, most people out there haven't actually seen, haven't actually heard of. So I reckon that was it, Jacob, to be honest, mate.
Fair enough.
Yeah, what did you make of the fight itself?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching Andre Ward be technical and switch stances and show us a few different looks. Andre Ward doesn't knock people out, so apparently people thought he should knock this guy out because we never heard of him. But when does Andre Ward ever knock anyone out? Anyway, it was what it was. It was a tune-up. He's only been at 175 for a handful of fights. I mean, Sullivan Barrera was a more challenging opponent. That's 100% for sure. But, people say this guy is in the top 50. He's like number 20 something on BoxRec. I mean, people just have this illusion that those guys should just fall over. Look, there's a professional boxer. You get in the ring, this dude can fuck 99% of the population up. Like, I just don't get, like Andre could get injured against, like, he could put the Kovalev fight in jeopardy. It's just hilarious to me, the amount of, hate. But anyway, it was good to watch him. It was good to see him get rounds in. And, he swept the scorecards on every single person who ever scored a fight ever, gave him 12-0 on that fight. So, I don't see there's anything to be mad about. If the Kovalev fight wasn't set in stone, you could bitch and moan more. But look, that fight is happening 100% already. Promos out, all this. So it was, I'm not going to say a necessary evil, but a necessary tune-up for Andre Ward to be 100% comfortable at 175 to put everything on the line against, for me, number one. I don't know where Kovalev is in my pound-for-pound list, but I know Andre Ward's number one. So it's a top 5 pound-for-pound fight. You're so mad about the tune-up leading up to it. It's like, come on, we're getting the fight of the decade here, really. So I don't know. I just had to call in and defend my boy because I was just upset at what was going on the internet. But yeah. What are your thoughts on Ward Kovalev? Your pick, or you're not gonna reveal your hand right now?
No, I'll reveal my hand at this point, because I might change my mind. And if I'm honest, I've changed my mind in the lead up to this fight several times. Right now, I'm actually quite confident that Ward's going to win the fight.
Okay.
I am. I think Ward is... this sounds like a real casual thing I'm about to say. He's got an air of being completely unbeatable about him. There's certain things to his game that people don't like the fact that he doesn't knock people out. He isn't the biggest guy in the world. But these aren't weaknesses, as I see it. These are just elements to his normal game. I don't actually think Andre Ward has weaknesses in terms of his technical boxing. I mean, I watched this fight with Alexander Brand, and I'm going to be honest with you, I hated the fight. I couldn't get through the fight. I tried on 2 or 3 separate occasions, and I found it boring me to tears. I just found the fight very dull. The styles really didn't gel for me. But Ward is spectacular, and you can almost put aside the fact that this fight wasn't a great fight stylistically and say some of the stuff he's doing in there is just so advanced, and he really is in the elite of boxers. You know, Kovalev's a bigger guy. He hits a lot harder. He's probably got more momentum. But if I look at Kovalev, I don't see perfection. And if I look at Andre Ward, I actually think I do see perfection. And I know Kovalev's bigger and hits harder, but I just think Ward is going to out-hustle him. He's going to frustrate him. He's going to use the angles. He's going to get on the inside. I think Ward's going to outpoint him, possibly widely. That's my take on it. What would be your prediction, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Andre Ward, Virgil Hunter as a duo, they have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D for every single opponent. And when you look at, I mean, Kovalev, maybe he has up plan B, like Chilemba, the Chilemba fight. That kind of showed me that when Kovalev can't just get a guy out of there or bully a guy, he is forced to box, and he's obviously still world class, but he's not Andre Ward's level of a boxer. So if he can't just power you out, he's going to get outboxed, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, as you said, Andre Ward is just so literate in there. You give him something, and he has 10 different ways to pick it apart. So, like, he's just way too smart of a boxer. Anyone to beat him. That's why he's, you know, people have said he's never lost a round, even though that, you know, that's not true. He's been the Sullivan Barrera fight, he lost rounds in that fight, but you know, the last person to beat him was his dad when he was a kid. You know, like it's automatic. But the thing is that people are still going to bitch and moan about it as being boring. Because I'll agree, I couldn't get. I kind of dozed off during the Brand fight. I was making dinner. You know, I wasn't watching every round, every punch. I was doing chores while the fight was on, honestly, because it was boring. But again, when you look at that Chilemba Kovalev fight, and Kovalev has to find a plan B, he doesn't have one. So that's my. Anyway.
Yeah, I hear you, mate, and I think I've got to say, if Ward goes and beats Kovalev, bearing in mind he cleaned up at 168, I think if he goes and beats Kovalev, who for me is top 3 or 4 pound for pound, number 1 in his division, I actually think, and I know people don't like Andre Ward, so I know this comment will get me some stick. We have to be talking about where Andre Ward fits in terms of the greatest ever boxers if he goes out and beats Kovalev. And I'm not suggesting he's the greatest ever by any stretch of the imagination, but James Toney, Joe Calzaghe, Roy Jones Jr., we have to be asking, is he of their ilk? You know, is he that level? Bernard Hopkins, you know, he should be in that conversation as far as I'm concerned if he goes and pulls this off.
Absolutely. And I mean, for me, in terms of his legacy, this is kind of the breakthrough for people talking about him even having a legacy. Like, once he does this, which I'm 95% sure he's gonna do, then every victory after this just tacks on, and like, you know, it'll just gain this momentum as we're witnessing greatness. It'll be he's the next Floyd, you know. Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. He, unfortunately, his style has shown that it's not fan friendly because, I don't know, people like watching knockouts. Casuals like knockouts, I guess, not beautiful boxing. So, you know, it is what it is. But he'll certainly go down as one of the greats, and I think it's an automatic. I don't know if like Vegas has odds available for this right now. I'm sure they do, but I'd be curious. I haven't looked into them myself, but the betting odds, I wonder where the money's at right now already on the Kovalev Ward fight.
I believe Ward is a slight favourite. I know you guys say it differently in the US, but I think here we've got it a 4-5 favourite. So if you put 100 on Ward to win, you get 80 back.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm not the most experienced bettor myself, to be honest, so I don't know all the terms. But yeah, it's just always interesting because, you know, when you look at the Crawford Postol fight and how dead on Vegas was and all the betting odds were for what that fight really ended up being versus what people were talking about it being 50-50, but all the betting, you know, businesses knew it was not 50-50. They did it, you know, 5 to 1. So I kind of, in my mind, to call on paper, I'm going to look at the betting odds because they said that, you know, the house always wins, and if that weren't true, there wouldn't be a house. So the house knows what the fuck is going on. But, you know, so I think it's a useful measurement. But anyway, I got to get going. But, you know, Tom, great show. Thanks for letting me kind of burn and take up a little bit of airtime.
Not a problem.
You got the show on air. You know, that was a little, we were like, no, we're not going to get it Monday night.
There we go. No, I really appreciate you calling in, mate. Thanks for getting it in nice and early. And yeah, good call. Hope to speak to you again soon.
All righty. See ya.
Cheers, Jacob. Thanks very much to Jacob for calling in. Second week in a row, I believe, for Jacob. Very, very good call. And I really enjoy it personally when we get callers from all over the world. You know, it makes it, it's a bizarre feeling for me knowing that we're getting people watching from the States. Anyway, we got Vincent calling in. Vincent, how you doing? Hello, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, let's try again, mate. It was a bit difficult there, but hopefully it will sort itself out.
Yeah, you want me to recall?
No, that's good. You're coming through. You're coming through nice at the minute. Yeah, you're not at work. Is it slightly better for you today with the later show, I guess?
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
Yeah, I'm in the U.S., so I just finished up work.
Oh, nice stuff. Nice stuff. So what? It's about 5 o'clock where you are?
Yeah, it's like 5:30.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So tell me what you're saying on Andre Ward, then.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I watched the Ward fight. Felt a little disappointed in Ward's performance. I got the impression that he wasn't either trying or he was trying to restrain from showing too much to Kovalev. But against a guy like Brand, who really has no offensive output, moves backwards, and offers little power to dissuade someone like Ward, I was a little shocked that Ward was throwing somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 punches per round. And I'm not sure how you felt about it, but it looked like a pretty disappointing performance to me.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I tried to watch it twice, and both times it bored me to tears. And I like Andre Ward. I'm not a hater of his. I just found it such a poor fight to watch. You know, a real sort of dull encounter that didn't really get me excited. It was just one of those where the styles really didn't clash. And sometimes you need someone who's going to come at Andre Ward a bit more to show the best of him. But I guess the good news is Sergey Kovalev is not going to fight the same way that Alexander Brand did, I guess.
Yeah, that is quite true. Did you get at all the impression, though, that Ward was, you know, hiding his hand, or did you get the sensation? Did you get the? Are you still there, Tom?
Yeah. Sorry, it cut out for a second there. You said, did you get the impression he was hiding his hand?
Yeah, was he hiding his hand, or did he seem maybe like that layoff has affected him in more ways than one might expect?
If I'm honest, my perspective wasn't that he was necessarily worried about an injury. It was more to do with the fact that he wasn't in the mood to gamble. He's still new at the weight class. He's obviously got a huge career-defining fight just around the corner. And I guess Andre Ward and Virgil Hunter are safety-first type characters. And I just get the impression that they didn't really want to take a gamble, get involved in a firefight, get involved in a scrap, and they were more going to stick to the game plan regardless of what the crowd or what the fan wanted. That was kind of my impression of it, and some of the stuff he was doing in there was very, very good. Some of the jabs, some of the stuff like that, but it was just hard to watch for me.
Do you think Ward switching up to southpaw was an indication of something he's planning on doing against Kovalev, or do you think that was more mental games?
I think that was, for me, switching southpaw has become quite a fashionable thing to do. We've seen Terence Crawford do it. We've seen Tyson Fury do it. We've seen other fighters do it. And even in the UK recently, we saw Dillian White do it in a British title fight. And it's kind of, for me, a very trendy boxing thing to do at present. And it's a way of trying to show off. And I think Andre Ward was just trying to use it as, okay, maybe I'm not going to get the knockout, but I'm going to go southpaw just to sort of show what an ultimate well-rounded technician boxer I am. I actually didn't think he looked as smooth southpaw as he did orthodox. For me, if you're going to switch between orthodox and southpaw, it should be seamless, and it shouldn't be obvious, that you're an orthodox fighter fighting out of southpaw. I think if that's the case, then there's no point in making a switch. It should be something you're easily able to do that's going to confuse and give the opponent a different look. And personally, I didn't think Andre Ward was at his best in the southpaw stance. I mean, that was my perspective. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, it definitely seemed like a forced maneuver on his part. He could get away with it. But,
yeah.
But I thought it looked artificial.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see that being the way he's got to fight Kovalev. If I look at Kovalev, for me, the key to that fight is the inside game. It's frustrating Kovalev. It's smothering him. It's taking the reins away from him, and it's that kind of sophisticated, experienced chess player on the inside game that I don't think is going to work well for Kovalev, and that I think is probably going to sit much better with the Andre Ward clan.
Yeah, I have to say, one thing that I often forget when I'm analyzing fights is that if you look at a guy and you have a better technical boxer with faster hand speed and better footwork, 9 out of 10 times they're going to win. So I expect he will beat Kovalev. And this might be a little cold of me to say, but the only thing that really worried me about him facing Kovalev was seeing Andre Berto in the ring with him, because the thought that those two guys are close gave me the feeling that maybe Berto might poison Andre Ward somehow.
Yeah, but Berto, yeah, I mean, Virgil Hunter, he's had a few other fighters, obviously Berto and Amir Khan. It seems to be Andre Ward who's the real success story out of that camp at present, I guess. And obviously that's because he's a supreme talent. But yeah, I don't think there's too many tips Andre Ward's going to be gleaming from Berto ahead of this one.
Yeah. Well, I guess one other question for you, Tom. How do you feel about Jesse Vargas as an opponent for Manny?
Completely underwhelmed. Completely underwhelmed. I don't have anything against Jesse Vargas. He's but even when we were discussing Kell Brook versus Vargas here in the UK, I was saying how many people out there could actually give Vargas a chance of beating Brook, and saw his level against Tim Bradley. I know he had the controversy in the last round, but fundamentally he was soundly and widely beaten in that fight. And is he going to go out and beat Manny Pacquiao? I just don't see it. For me, Manny Pacquiao looked superb last time out against Tim Bradley, and I don't see it as a competitive fight. I don't see it as an exciting fight. That's my personal take. What's the feedback been across the pond, Vincent?
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Getting a full response over here. Pretty much everyone feels it's not going to sell any pay-per-views, so it'll be financial failure. It'll be an easy points win for Pacquiao, and likely it's being done to set up a bigger fight with Terence Crawford or potentially if they can lure Mayweather into a rematch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would make sense to use it as a prep fight. But I heard on pay-per-view in America seems to be in a weird place at present. Obviously, there's the rumours going around that Crawford versus Postol did 50,000. I was listening to the Boxing Voice podcast the other day, and they were predicting the Ward Kovalev fight would do 100,000, 150,000. Honestly, if that fight was in the UK, Ward Kovalev, and if that was promoted over here with Andre Ward being a UK fighter, if that was Carl Frost versus Kovalev, or even James DeGale versus Kovalev, I'd be expecting that to do 500,000 pay-per-views. It seems to be an odd place in the States at present in terms of the market.
Yeah, I mean, the visibility of major boxers, unless they have some unusual charisma like a De La Hoya or a Manny Pacquiao or something like that, you're just looking at max 150, 250K buys. And obviously, Manny Pacquiao's buys have been dropping down towards that level for the last couple of years.
Right.
So I don't think it would do much better than, say, a Golovkin versus David Lemieux fight, the Ward Kovalev. Ward is not at all popular in the United States because he rarely fights. And when he does fight, he fights in Oakland. And he doesn't set himself into positions where he's well marketed. Kovalev has a little bit more of a name, but probably not enough to carry more than 150,000 buys.
Yeah, I guess he's not one who's really... he's a popular fighter, but he probably doesn't have his own fan base. There aren't the Kovalev, devotees that you have with like some of the, the Manny Pacquiao, for example, or even, likes of Floyd Mayweather. It's just like he doesn't seem to have a hugely devoted fan base like an Andre Ward does or a Golovkin does, I guess.
Yeah, well, even a Golovkin, I mean, you have to imagine that all 150,000 buys that Golovkin got, or however many that was, had to be entirely his fan base, and none at all David Lemieux.
Yeah, absolutely. Lemieux, I guess it was Golovkin's name that sold that. I was surprised how poorly that did, though. I thought that would be a much bigger fight, but that really took me back. And I guess that's kind of shown how the market's changed recently.
Yeah, well, and the pay-per-view price is very high. So, I mean, you're talking $49, $59, $69 per pay-per-view, and now we've got a fall schedule coming up where you've got Ward Kovalev at pay-per-view price. They're trying to slot Pacquiao Vargas in, which would also be like a $69.95 pay-per-view, and then Miguel Cotto is set for pay-per-view in early December.
Right. That would be interesting. Cotto, they'll have to come up with something pretty good in terms of an opponent to sell that as pay-per-view, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Interesting stuff. Vincent, I must crack on, mate, but thank you very much for calling in. Really good to speak to you.
All right, good talking to you, Tom. Take care.
Have a good evening. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks very much to Vincent. Thanks very much to Jacob earlier. What a start. We've had 2 US callers back to back, so that's wicked stuff. And we've been live for like a good 20-30 minutes now, and the stream seems to be working fully. So yeah. Apologies to those who had to wait at the beginning, but there we are. But no, I want to just touch back on that while we're waiting for someone else to call in. Just touch back on my comments earlier about Ward v Kovalev. If Ward does go and get this job done, if Ward goes and beat Kovalev, that discussion of all-time greats, and I'm not saying he is the all-time great, but he needs to be in that discussion. We got Roger calling in. Roger, how you doing?
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yes, coming through loud and clear, Roger. Where are you based?
Memphis, Tennessee, man.
Wow.
Yeah, first time calling you, man. Big fan of your channel.
Oh, well, thanks very much for joining.
No problem. Thank you for answering, man. And how are you?
Very, very, very good. Very good. So what fight was it you wanted to talk about?
Ward, man. Ward against Brent.
Good stuff. What was your thoughts?
I think it's the best, man. Pound for pound.
I can't disagree. I cannot disagree. Where do you think he sits?
Great victory, man. Over here, you know, we consider Ward to be number one pound for pound.
You consider him to be number one pound for pound?
Yeah. In the U. Hello, man. Did you cut?
Roger, could you speak a bit louder? The sound is going down.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now, man?
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a few people in the chat saying there's a bit of an echo, so they can't hear you. But you were saying Ward is pound for pound number one over there.
Well, in my opinion, yeah. And that's the general idea over here in the U.S. that we have Ward as number one.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair, to be honest. And I think that if he goes out and beats Sergey Kovalev, there can't be any dispute over that. You know, I think he probably will get the job done.
Yeah, man. I think he's great, you know, great at the boxing skills, you know. He ain't the biggest puncher in the world, but, you know, he's got the defense and the footwork and that.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got every trick in the book and more. And I think he's technically one of the best fighters out there. And you know, it's a great fight. It's one of the best fights in boxing, Ward versus Kovalev. And as I say, I think
no disrespect, you know, no disrespect, because I know he got that Carl Frampton over there, right, in the UK.
Yeah.
But if you watch that fight, man, you know, he absolutely destroyed him.
He's a level above Carl Frost. Yeah, I've got to say it. He's a real. He showed in that fight that he was. You know, Carl Frost is like a huge fan favorite over here, but Andre Ward was a different level that night.
Yeah, and you know what? Over here, I'm a big fan of Anthony Joshua.
Right.
Huge guy, man. He's got muscles everywhere.
He's making a huge name for himself, isn't he? And he's obviously got the Showtime deal over there.
Yeah, man. You know what? My son's here right now. His name's Alex, and he wants to talk to you. If that's all right, he's a bit shy. But is that all right if he says something?
Yeah. Put him on.
All right, Alex. Don't be shy, okay? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How are you, mate?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine too, mate. I'm a bit shy. I'm sorry.
And we had a connection issue with John there. But yeah, let us move swiftly on. The quality of the call from John Smith was it was an inventive Midwest accent, I guess. But I was on to you pretty quickly. I put it in the chat pretty instantly. But yeah, fair play. John Smith reinvented himself as an American. So there you go. I guess it's good to have some star power in the form of a cameo. I got Jet calling in.
Hello, mate.
Is that you, Jet, or is it someone pretending to be you?
Of course it's me. Come on, man.
I'm not sure. You sound similar to my last caller. Yeah.
Don't be silly. I'm not gonna troll you, man. That was quite.
It was good for him, wasn't it?
Inventive, actually. Yeah, and then it just went west. Although his voice broke about in mid-sentence, and I didn't want to put it in the chat. So
when he said his son wanted to speak, I knew the game was up. But for those of you who are new to the show, we have had a rather interesting character who has called in under various different names and guises many times. That was him reinventing himself as an American. Paul says in the chat, this sounds nothing like Jet. Fuck off, John. So I think and Mikey says, you know, it's John Smith when the connection crackles. But anyway, it's good to have a bit of star power on the cameo. Not from yourself, obviously, Jet, but from John Smith. Yeah.
I'm too low class. I'm hitting Irish Tom levels now.
There you go. But
Yeah. I saw Bellew Flores is made.
Has it been confirmed?
Yeah. I saw it earlier today. I typed in Tony Bellew, and it's on BoxRec and everything. It's on the 15th of September, I think. Possibly.
Is it really?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. Well,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh no, 15th of October. Yeah.
October. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. My apologies. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about your thoughts. I don't know what your thoughts on that. I mean, BJ Flores is the sort of, fringe world level sort of guy. He lost to Shumenov quite handily last time he's been inactive. He hasn't really fought a lot recently. So I don't know what your thoughts on Tony Bellew versus BJ Flores are.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking it up actually. Basically, you've got Callum, Paul, and Stephen on the undercard, the Smith brothers, and David Price on the undercard. So, could be a decent. I'm being asked, am I holding a spliff or a pen? So I will just show the people watching that it is very definitely a pen as opposed to a spliff, just in case my employer or anything like that happen to be watching. BJ Flores, interesting. So I think of BJ Flores as there or thereabouts in terms of the cruiserweight division. Clearly, he's not one of the top names in the division. He's not a Usyk, he's not a Glowacki, he's not a Huck. But I would have kind of thought of him in like the top 15, that sort of level. I was surprised BoxRec only have him at 37. And I guess the reason for that is because he probably hasn't really beaten the top level opponents he's been in with. But nevertheless, the Subban fight I need to rewatch because obviously that's a key piece of form. Look at Flores, and I thought he ran Subban quite close in that fight. I know you said he lost handily. A lot of people, a lot of the boxing channels actually scored that fight to Flores. So I need to rewatch that fight definitely. Flores is a genuine cruiserweight. I don't think he's the hardest puncher in the world, but he's experienced. He's had 35 fights. I need to watch a bit more of him because I'm a Tony Bellew skeptic, and I think it's fair to say that every time Tony Bellew has been in a competitive fight, I've picked against him, and more often than not, he has actually exposed me, and he has actually scored the win when I hadn't expected him to. So I'm guessing in this fight, Bellew's going to start favourite. What would be your take on it?
Yeah, I thought he ran. What was his name? Shumenov. I thought he ran quite close as well. I did think originally when I saw the fight that Shumenov outboxed him, but he was kind of throwing single punches and that sort of stuff. But I thought Flores did what he had to do. He made it rough and tough for Shumenov and ran quite close. Some people giving the win, as you said. Some respected boxing channels giving the win. So. I could see that fight. I'd probably have to rewatch it again to do a thorough scoring. But Flores is what he is, really. He's a game opponent. He'll come forward. He won't stop throwing punches, but you know what? Tony Bellew, I think, is... I don't know if I'm going to get some serious stick for saying this, but I think he's too smart for him, honestly. And Tony Bellew is not an astute fighter by any means, but I think he's going to catch Flores coming in, many a times, and I think he'll be too strong for him. He'll probably win a laboured points win, I think. But that's my thoughts on that, really.
Yeah. So in terms of the styles, I haven't seen that much of Flores. Would you say that you wouldn't describe him as a boxer or a technician? Is he more a sort of come forward guy who's going to put his head down and throw sort of wild punches? How would you describe him?
Yeah, similar to what you say, pretty much. I don't really see him boxing, or he might try and box for a round or two, but I don't see him doing that. I think he's going to come forward and try and rush Bellew and put it on. And we all know Bellew's, he's kind of a blown up sort of the middle of light heavyweight or cruiserweight. I think the old cruiserweight limit of 190 would have done him perfect, but he does look a bit pudgy around the edges at 200 pounds when he weighs in. So I think he's going to try and rush him to the body and that sort of stuff. Tony Bellew's got
he's got a good chin. He's been down a few times. I think he had his nose broken against Maccabi, I think.
Yeah.
In the first round. So and he showed some really good heart, grit, determination to get up and, you know, deliver a brutal knockout in round 3 to win the WBC cruiserweight title. But you know, BJ Flores, I'd expect him to beat Flores with the style that BJ kind of brings to the table, because he's David Hayes' pal and that sort of stuff. But the fight I really want to see is, you know, him versus Grigori Zod or Maurice Bridis. Those are the fights that, you know, are much, much tougher, much harder. And, you know, we're really going to see what Tony Bellew is made of in those fights. And I think he could very well, you know, lose those fights.
SK92 says, he comes up with 2 comments. He goes, "It's the first and last time I've heard Tony Bellew get called too smart." And he also said, "All roads lead to David Haye." Now, I actually personally agree with that comment from him. I think all roads do lead to David Haye. And firstly, I think that's why they've chosen BJ Flores, because as we know, they're sort of training partners and there's the link there. Secondly, one thing I talk about a lot on this channel is risk versus reward. I don't think Bellew has a good chance of beating Josdor Bradis. I give Bellew no more than a 10 to 15% chance in either of those fights, which, funnily enough, is a very similar percentage chance to Haye. Yeah. But you get paid superstar bucks for David Haye on Sky Sports pay-per-view.
Yeah, mate, you're spot on.
So
literally, you hit the nail on the head, mate. Honestly,
I don't see. I could definitely see that fight happening. And let's not forget, this ties in with David Haye, Son and Briggs fight going completely awry. So who knows what's going on there? I mean, would that be your best bet then as well, Jet?
Yeah, I think all roads lead to David Haye. I think he's spot on, and you're spot on with your analysis there as well. I just think, you know what, it's tough. It's a tough sell. I mean, he's got BJ Flores next, and the WBC have mandated him versus Grigori Zod. So, you know what, I don't know if it's if he's going to actually face David Haye in his next fight. I know a title was much, much, much more meaningful in the fight rather than them fighting without a title. He who should not be named, or David Haye as you want to call him, he has got a fight possibly with a WBA regular world title on the line. So, yeah, I mean, so Charlie Cutting said easily winnable. Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, I don't know if you saw that Instagram post here that he posted a new champion or something like that. He said when he was training David Haye. So, and with Ruslan Chagayev, we spoke about on the podcast, he's retiring. The title becomes vacant, so he might face Oquendo next for that regular title, possibly, I reckon. So, I mean, you know, if they can do something on Sky Sports pay-per-view, I reckon, you know, we'll have to wait and see on that. But, you know, Tony Bellew, if he can win and he can come through looking good, then, yeah, I'm all for that fight. I know who I'm going to be picking in that fight anyway quite easily, so...
Yeah.
Black Usyk is another one.
That's obviously, yeah. I mean, that's the very, very top of the division, definitely. The other thing I wanted to ask you about: what on earth is going on with this Carl Frampton Leo Santa Cruz rematch?
So, look, I've heard that on Twitter, various boxing sites, people, no rematch clause. But as we know, this is a voluntary. And Leo Santa Cruz and his team have come out and said, and Al Heyman said, there is a rematch clause. And I'm almost sure there must be a rematch clause because it was a voluntary. And in a voluntary, they always put a rematch clause in due to clashes of heads, you know, any, you know, sort of dodgy injuries that happen, like the Sergio Mora one. He's facing Danny Jacobs again in a rematch soon. So, you know, you always get a rematch clause in those sort of fights. So I'd assume it could come whenever, possibly before the end of the year. That's what Carl Frampton was saying at the Odyssey. He wants it in Belfast. So, you know what? I'm not sold on it being in Belfast. Let's put it that way. But I think the rematch can happen at the end of the year, and it'll be a very, very good rematch. I don't know how it would, fair in terms of viewing. I think I was watching Box Talk. Ade is away, so Ryan and Carl were talking about it on the show, and they said it done about 540 something thousand views on Showtime, which is pretty decent, which is pretty damn decent. So I think the view count would be in and around the same, which would which would be really, really good. And we'll have to wait and see. I don't think Leo Santa Cruz. He says he'll come over to the UK, but I can't see it, honestly. But I can see a rematch. Let's put it that way. But that's what I've been hearing the last few fights.
What I don't get though is both parties seem utterly unsure as to whether there is a rematch or isn't a rematch. Like to the point where I have to wonder whether they've seen the contract, because I'm not joking with that comment. I mean, how can you not know if there's a rematch clause? It seems that nobody has a clue. And I put something up on Facebook today. I said, can someone explain this to me? And people are writing things like, this is like when Lucien Boutte had a rematch clause but didn't use it. And it's not like that at all. Genuinely, Santa Cruz and Frampton do not seem to know if there is or is not a rematch clause. And I cannot see it. I just cannot understand how this has happened. But it's interesting. I think I'd be picking Frampton to win the rematch. He for me just appeared to be the better fighter.
Going with Frampton as well. I think Irish Tom would be happy with both of us after that. Last one before I let you go off and someone else can call in, because we'll catch up on Wednesday, I'm sure, anyway. TBA, possibly Gabe Rosado on the Canelo Smith undercard. What's your thoughts on him versus Rosado? And also Hassan and Dam lost in the first round of the Olympic qualifiers.
Did he lose today?
Yeah, he lost. It wasn't a qualifier. I think he lost in the first round or something like that.
Oh.
He lost to.
I didn't see that.
He's on his way home.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. I need to check in some of the Olympic boxing, and maybe I'll make a video or two on it.
Bellew also lost as well. UK guy. He lost in the light flyweight division to the Cuban world champion or something like that. So there's a few guys that have departed Rio at the moment.
Interesting. Is the British heavyweight Lawrence Oakley or whatever? That's probably not his surname, Oakley, but Lawrence, the heavyweight. Is he still in?
Yeah, from what I heard, he won and he looked pretty good in this fight. I have to catch up on some of the stuff, but someone asked me to actually make a video on some of the prospects and stuff, the UK sort of based prospects. I haven't seen anyone really stand out. It's not like a London 2012. I mean, you obviously have Joshua, who's a bit, slightly slender in comparison to now. He looks massive now. Yeah. Luke Campbell, those sort of guys, they kind of stood out. And then you had the other amateur prospect standout guys, Vasyl Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk, those sort of guys. I don't really see that in this tournament at Rio, but maybe that's just me being ignorant.
Yeah. And sorry, Jet, what was the first question? Because I got sidetracked on the Ndam thing.
Okay, Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I think Billy Joe outpoints him with a bit of ease. I think Billy Joe's a class above, but it's a good fight in terms of exposure. It's a good fight in terms of building the brand out there. And it, to me, looks like this Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight is going to happen, and I think that's a great fight.
Any possible, prediction on the Billy Joe Saunders Canelo fight? Who do you reckon you'll pick early going?
I think Billy Joe Saunders will win the fight.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think Billy Joe Saunders is a world-class fighter and some of the skills Billy Joe has are leading in terms of, there are some things Billy Joe does where I believe he does them better than anyone else active in the sport right now. Now, there are some problems with him. I'm not going to say he's the complete article. He's not the biggest power puncher in the world, certainly. He gets in very bad shape between fights, definitely. His stamina's been highly questionable. But I think Billy Joe Saunders has unbelievable head movement. great body movement, upper body movement, superb footwork, an excellent chin, huge punch variety. I just think he's a far more skilled fighter than Canelo. And I rate Canelo highly, but I think Billy Joe Saunders is that good. The concern for me would be that Canelo is known as a judges' and promoters' favourite, and Billy Joe Saunders isn't going to knock Canelo out. So for me, the concern is the robbery. But the fact we're even talking about a robbery tells you what a good fight this is, I think. You know, I like Billy Joe in the fight. What about yourself?
Me, if I had to pick someone now, I'd pick Canelo. Only because, you know, I think Billy Joe may possibly win the fight. I like Billy Joe. I think he's a very, very skilled, you know, 160 guy. Probably the number 2 for me, behind Golovkin.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I can't see if he's, you know, unless he wins all 12 rounds absolutely clearly, I can't see him beating Canelo. We've seen some disgusting decisions with Canelo, honestly, like 114 against Mayweather was a joke.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, the thing is, I can see Billy Joe winning the fight, but I just think Canelo's going to get the decision. And if I have to say, like, someone's going to win the fight, it'd be Billy Joe, but I can't see him winning out there in the States. If it's in Vegas, which they're talking about, you know, some of the rumors have been they're going to try and make it in Vegas. I know this fight is at, you know, Dallas Cowboy Stadium, I think AT&T Stadium, against Liam Smith. But you know what, Liam Smith shouldn't be underrated. I know we said on the podcast here, you know, he's going to get mauled over by Canelo and that sort of stuff. But I think, you know, he could give Canelo a few problems that other guys might be able to exploit. He's a fully fledged 154 pounder, and you know, he's gonna. I think he might just be able to give a few problems here and there to Canelo. I don't think he's gonna win. Certainly not. I think he'll end up getting KO'd or something, or probably losing by lopsided decision. But you know, I think he gives them problems that Billy Joe and, you know, the other guys might, the other 160 pounders might want to pick up on.
Definitely. No, I think it's a good fight. And yeah, Liam Smith shouldn't be underrated there. For me, his biggest chance in the fight is actually Canelo trying to cut down to 154. I think Canelo, I know it's only a pound, but a pound is a lot of weight when you can't lose any more. And I wonder if Canelo's going to have to cut off his arm or something to get that extra pound off, you know?
It's like Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton, I don't know if you heard it briefly before we go. Briefly, he said that he wants to move up to super featherweight for legacy, but he's a very, very, very stocky guy. He's, you know, very muscular, and I think he's gonna outgrow featherweight very, very soon in the next, you know, 4 fights. I'd say that's my opinion on that. I think it's similar to that sort of you know, thing. He's a small guy. Canelo's a small guy for 160. If you look at compared to the other 160 guys, Chris Eubank Jr., Danny Jacobs, Andy Lee, those sort of, you know, contender sort of guys. I know Jacobs holds a fake belt, but you know, that is what it is. But he's in and around that sort of thing, and you know, as you said, he might have to cut an arm and a leg just to get to 154. So yeah, we'll wait and see, really.
Excellent. Yeah. It'd be interesting, but. Yeah, Jet, we'll speak further on Wednesday. Jet is on the podcast panel, so we go live Wednesday at 8:30. So check us out there. I know we haven't discussed the Manny Pacquiao fight or the Andre Ward fight or the Kovalev situation. Those are certainly going to be key discussion points on Wednesday, so we'll keep our powder dry there. But yeah, thanks for calling in, mate.
No problem, man. I hope everyone enjoyed that, and catch you on Wednesday, mate.
Catch you soon. Cheers, Jet. Bye now.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers to Jet for calling in. People are talking about the Olympics in the chat, which is good to see. Damien says Eubank Senior has returned to social media today. Interesting, Damien. Could you let me know what he said, mate? See if it's anything particularly interesting. But yeah, guys, I guess I've said what I wanted to say just by a sort of quick review. We're going to discuss a lot of these topics. in the podcast on Wednesday. But essentially, Ward versus Brown wasn't stylistically a good fight. It was a fight that could put a glass eye to sleep. But I got to say, it's a fight that hasn't dented my enthusiasm behind Andre Ward's chances against Kovalev. I just think if I was, and I said this when I picked Leo Santa Cruz to beat Carl Frampton, but if I look at Carl Frampton's weaknesses, I thought Leo Santa Cruz has all the attributes to beat Frampton. To be honest, if I look at Andre Ward, I think he's got many of the attributes I would pick for a fighter to beat Sergey Kovalev. Ben says, Gossip, do you really think Pat Vargas is that bad of a fight? It's not that terrible of a fight, don't get me wrong. It's not like Vargas is a good fighter, but it's not a competitive fight, is it? I mean, could you give Vargas more than a 10% chance of winning a fight? I personally don't think so. Marit Safin says, has Tom spoke about the Tyson Fury situation? I haven't. I've kept a purposeful silence on that one. I will be doing a video on it tomorrow. So Marit Safin videos, if you're new, I don't think I've seen a comment from you before, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you'll be able to check out that video when it comes up tomorrow. Let's have a look. Oh, Chris Eubank Senior is telling people to expect the unexpected. There we go. Guys, live for about an hour. I'm going to call it a day there. Thanks to everyone who's called in, and thanks to everyone who's bared with us at the start of the show and joined live for the live show. Probably not the best edition of the live show we've done tonight because various internet problems have slightly knocked me off my stride. But there we go. There we go. Join us on Wednesday at 8:30. And yeah, that would be cool. Mikey says you need to update us about a go-go BG. Certainly, we will definitely be doing an Anthony Ogogo segment this week. Potter says 1 dislike. Was that from John Smith? Maybe it was. We're 22 likes and 1 dislike at this minute. So if you're watching live or if you're watching when this is up on the channel, please do take the time to hit the thumbs up button. Helps me spread this to a wider audience. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. I had a few subscribers drop off recently, which is a bit disappointing. So help me get my numbers up. Let's have a look. Damien's a good show again, mate, even with the IT issues. Thanks for bearing with me, Damien. We'll get this live show rocking and rolling. I'm going to try and do 90 minutes on Mondays. I'm going to try and get a set time going. It's just been a bit tough with work recently. Ben says, cheers, Tom. Good show. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate the support, mate. David says, cheers. See you all Wednesday. Thanks, David. Marit Safan says, like the channel as well, Jet. Just discovered it. Mikey says, join late but enjoyable again. Cheers, Tom. Cheers, Mikey. Let's have a look. Harley says, good stuff, buddy. Great content as always. Thanks, Harley. Potter says, Paul has confirmed some scintillating go-go updates for Wednesday. Cannot wait. Charlie Cutting says, what time does it normally start? I'm new here. The live show doesn't really have a normal time. It's just always Monday nights. And I kind of Facebook message and tweet out what time it's going to be on. So if you're new to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Boxing Gossip. Also subscribe to the channel if you're new, Charlie Cutting. You'll get updates as to when we're going live. Ruben says, okay, I'm off. Nice one, Tom. See you Wednesday. Cheers, Ruben. See you Wednesday. Kiwi says, cheers for that. Cheers, Kiwi. Mikey says, everyone sub to Jet. Absolutely. Check out Jet on Boxing Discussions. Jules says, later, Tom. Have a good one. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks very much, everyone. I'm going to hit the end broadcast button here. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for everyone who's tuning live. Video coming tomorrow on the Tyson and Hughie Fury situation. Check that out. It's going to be one of them I'm going to try and be as open and honest as I can be in terms of what my opinion is on the situation. Wednesday, we've got a podcast. It's going to be lots of interesting comments and lots of interesting topics to get into. We're really going to break the back of Ward Kovalev. We're really going to break the back of Manny Pacquiao versus Vargas. So there we are. Harley says, has Irish Tom got a channel? He does not. Damien says, good to hear. There's going to be a Fury video. Yeah, I've kept my cards close to my chest on that, really, purely because I haven't been able to form an opinion. There's been so many conflicting news stories, and my heart's been arguing with my head. But we'll get it now. We'll now that more's come out, we'll have a chat about it tomorrow. Mikey said Huey versus Pulev on the podcast. I don't think so. I haven't actually heard any rumours about that one, Mikey. That's new to me, mate. But drop me a tweet or something if that is some sort of story. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a good evening. Cheers for watching.